Okay, hopefully y'all can hear. Okay. All right. Tonight's live, we've got a sprinkler on the side of me here, so hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. Hopefully we can rock out and you guys can hear the information, because I'm going to lay out some pretty good things, some pretty big things here. The direction that I see Instagram going, and kind of talk about what's been going on this week and maybe how we can all kind of grow in the future and adjust to these changes. So, the first thing that I want to start by talking about today is earlier this week we saw a big movement for Instagram, or specifically sort of against Instagram. And it's this movement that has been kind of deemed the Make Instagram Instagram Again movement. And this is something that was posted by a page named Illuminati. And basically there was a couple of claims about Instagram and how people want to see it change. And so I'm going to try and break that down. The first claim was that they want Instagram to stop trying to be like TikTok. And there's two things inside of that we'll unpack in a second. And then the second claim, or the second desire that this movement had, was for Instagram to start placing an emphasis on photos again. And again, there's two more things that we'll unpack inside of that. So this Make Instagram Instagram Again movement really had two claims. The first is they want Instagram to stop trying to be TikTok. And the second is that they wanted Instagram to go back to its sort of photo emphasis that it had in the past. Now, on the stop trying to be TikTok front, sorry if you guys can hear the sprinkler hitting something back there. It's kind of loud, but on that first claim, which is that they want Instagram to stop trying to replicate or be like TikTok, there's really 2 points that they're making inside of that. And the first is that they want Instagram to step back from the sort of video focus that Instagram has shifted towards. And then the second thing in that is they're getting really tired of Instagram's recommendations, which Instagram has been pushing really hard. Recommendations in feed, which is basically, you don't follow these people, you don't follow this hashtag, but we're going to put these posts in front of you because we suspect that this is content you'll want to see. Now, one of the significant problems that we've seen with recommendations on Instagram is that their algorithm is not nearly as good as TikTok's in predicting what people want to see. So with TikTok, you don't hear as many complaints about recommendations because TikTok's algorithm is pretty strong. They are pretty good at making those recommendations. So it just feels like you're constantly being fed stuff that's super tailored towards you and towards your own interests. But what we're seeing is people want Instagram to stop trying to be like TikTok with the videos and with the recommendations. And in my mind, I think a big part of that is just because they fumbled the ball with their recommendations algorithm. Their algorithm is not very strong in making good recommendations. So that's sort of two claims in that first part, which is stop trying to be TikTok. And then the second part of this Make Instagram Instagram Again movement is they want an emphasis on photos. And inside of this, first of all, they want the algorithm to stop emphasizing videos so hard and only pushing out videos. They want photos to sort of get a fair shake as well. Because right now on Instagram, and this may change in the future, but if you want views, if you want reach, if you want to get in front of new people and get new followers, Reels are the way to do that. Reels just get significantly more reach than posts do. And to kind of give you an idea, I manage an Instagram for a local bike shop. And when I've made carousel posts, which is essentially the best type of image post you can make for the algorithm right now, as far as getting reach, on a good carousel, I'll get in front of maybe about 400 people. With that post. Whereas if I make a good reel for that bike shop, I can easily get in front of between 2,500 and 5,000 people. So you really do see just an outsized return right now on video content on Instagram. And so what people want is photos to kind of get a fair shake in the amount of reach that they're getting. Secondly, on the emphasis on photos is there's sort of this idea behind this Make Instagram Instagram Again movement that we want to go back to the days where you would hop on Instagram and you would see a lot of your friends' content. You would see posts from friends and family that you actually knew in real life, as opposed to all of these big pages and big creators that we've all become kind of familiar with, right? Like, think about how many people follow the rap page on Instagram. It's just kind of become almost a de facto news page for a lot of people. to just get news and maybe a little bit of music news mixed together. So there's almost this kind of nostalgic, people want Instagram to go back to what it used to be. And I mentioned that the Illuminati page is the one that posted this, but you've also seen some of the Kardashians forward this as well and repost this movement on their stories. So most notably, I think Kylie Jenner did it this week, reposted this. And there's a whole petition behind it too, to basically make these changes to Instagram that we just talked about. And Adam Mosseri, who's the head of Instagram, came out this week and made a couple comments in relation to this Make Instagram Again movement. And I think it was a little bit tone deaf on his first response. But basically what he said on his first response is, we're always going to support photos, but we're really going to lean into videos. And so to kind of unpack that and translate that, what that means is, hey, stop whining. There's photos on the app. You can post photos if you want. It's not our fault that we want to push video content because this is the superior content. This is the way that Instagram is going. This is the way that social media is going, is video content. So again, kind of the idea that photos will exist, but videos are what we want to push because that's where we believe as a business the future lies. And Instagram really is in a tough spot here. I don't want to sound like I'm just taking a dump on Adam Mosseri because, like, think about where he's at right now. Instagram is owned by Facebook. So he's got Facebook breathing down his neck. He's got all the shareholders and all the interests of Facebook, which is a much bigger company, and Instagram sort of on his back saying, hey, we want to see more profit. We want to see this. We want to see that. We want to see changes that mimic TikTok, which is growing so fast. So there's definitely the incentive for him to, or for all of the heads of Instagram to make these changes that make the company more profitable, or in the eyes of shareholders, seem more valuable, right? And when you look at social media, video really is where the internet seems to be headed, right? As much as we love photos, videos tend to translate a little bit better. And you see this again with TikTok and how sticky TikTok is. It's incredibly difficult to pull away from TikTok once you start that scroll. And the longer you spend with it, the more the algorithm learns you, the harder it gets to pull away. Because they really do use all of the data they collect to keep you on there. And it's much easier to collect that data with videos than it is with photo, right? I say all that to say, even with photos, Instagram's got a strong algorithm that's going to identify what's in a photo and see if you like photo posts. But you've definitely seen Instagram make a strong movement towards video, which a lot of its audience is not too fond of right now. So once again, you have the Make Instagram Again movement. They want Instagram to move away from such strong video pushes and such strong recommendations. They want Instagram to start kind of using their algorithm to favor photo content a little bit more evenly with video content. And they also want maybe this more nostalgic kind of old school Instagram where you could actually see your friends and their posts. It looks like we got a couple people in here. If you guys have any questions about where we're at in the presentation, kind of what I'm laying out here for you guys today, feel free to drop any comments. Feel free to drop a like as well. Appreciate you guys for tapping in. But kind of getting into the next point though, Mosseri and Instagram came out, I think, either today or yesterday, and clarified Mosseri's earlier comments that we just covered. I think Mosseri kind of dropped the ball and sounded a little bit tone deaf in the statements that I just kind of outlined. But today they came out and gave us a bunch more information. So Instagram intends to end full screen feeds. And this was something that was only being tested on a small amount of users, so a lot of people aren't even going to know what this really is referring to. But basically, you know how you hop on TikTok or you hop on the Reels tab specifically, and you're only seeing one post on your screen at a time, and then you swipe, and then it's another post that's taking up your entire screen? Basically, Instagram was testing that with even photo content. So instead of, if you had a photo that was a fraction of your screen and it took up a fraction, you could kind of see the start of the next post. That little fraction was going to take up your entire screen with some empty space, I guess. And I think rightfully so, a lot of people weren't happy about that. So Instagram said, look, we get it. This is not what you guys want right now. We're going to scrap the full screen feed. And that's, again, one way that they were kind of copying TikTok, which was a complaint earlier. So that's one way that they're kind of trying to seem like they hear the complaints. Now, the second thing, kind of a mixed bag, but we'll get into this, is that they've decided to scale back the recommendations that they're making. So Instagram obviously has the recommendations that we just talked about, where this is not necessarily content that you follow the creator, you follow the hashtag. Maybe they've noticed, hey, you know what? He follows a lot of people that like to rollerblade. We're going to send him all these rollerblading posts, right? Just by crazy example. So they've decided to scale back on those recommendations because a lot of people are complaining about how many recommendations there are and that they don't like the recommendations. In my opinion, once again, I think that this is where Instagram has dropped the ball, because you don't hear people really complaining about TikTok's recommendations because their algorithm is so fine-tuned and so good at giving recommendations that it almost feels like content that you would seek out yourself. They are able to serve you such good, such sticky content that you enjoy on TikTok that it doesn't feel like a recommendation. It feels like they're just giving you what you want. They're giving you more of the dopamine hit, right? So with Instagram scaling back recommendations, which they said they're going to do temporarily and work on their algorithm, I think that'll be good in the macro for them to bring recommendations back, just looking at Instagram as a business. But I think in the short term, it obviously hurts Instagram, right? Like, you guys shouldn't have rolled out recommendations until you had it a little bit finer tuned than you did. You guys were a little bit premature with that, again, trying to copy TikTok, right? Competition is a good thing, though. So, maybe their recommendations will come back and be even better than TikTok's. Who knows? One thing I will say with the recommendations, and we'll get into this a little bit later, is recommendations are going to be, in my mind, a strong way for us as creators on Instagram to potentially grow. One of the hardest things on social media is the fewer social components that an app has, the harder it is to grow. That's why YouTube is probably the hardest platform to grow on. The only real social component is the comment section, but you don't really get notifications every time somebody follows you on YouTube the way that you would on something like Instagram. And you can't see their name, you can't click on their profile and read it. Most people on YouTube that follow you have an empty profile. So it makes it a little bit harder to network, which makes it harder to grow in those early stages, right? To get that momentum sort of built up. Recommendations are something that is less of a social component, but allows you as a creator to get your content out there further. So this is a way that, people can potentially grow faster on Instagram if it's done correctly. So I do want to see recommendations make a comeback, because us as people trying to grow on the platform, recommendations will be important, in my opinion, in the long run, if done correctly. Now, kind of getting back to some more things that Instagram has talked about and announced today as far as changes. Dude, these sprinklers are going wild. I'm sorry if this is killing the audio. You guys can just comment if it is, and I'll try and do something about it. But Instagram's position today, the third point that they made is that they're going to keep pushing videos, but they kind of alluded to the fact that they might start trying to push photos a little bit more equitably in their algorithm. And this is something that they really alluded to. It wasn't spelled out clearly. This is something that Mozeri kind of, again, alluded to in his Instagram stories today. But if that happens, I think that could be a very good thing for creators. And in my mind, here's where the opportunity would lie. So right now, let's say that I think it's realistic to say that videos are getting pushed at about a 10x ratio to photo posts in general, right? Depends on your niche, depends on your page, depends what each post is. But what I found is that video tends to get pushed, reels, about 10x what a photo post will get pushed. So if we start seeing something more equitable, like maybe video is only getting pushed 4 times more than a photo post, and instead of this huge discrepancy, you start to kind of see a little bit more of a balance where videos are still favored, but photos still have their place, they're still getting pushed by the algorithm. In my mind, what that tells me is, I need to start pumping out as many photos as possible, because making a solid photo post, at least for me, takes a fraction of the time, as if you have a theme page or a business page, should take you a fraction of the time that it takes you to make a good reel, right? So in my mind, if that kind of imbalance starts to shift in photos, even if they're not at the same level of reels, even if it's just more balanced, I'd rather get 2 photos than 1 reel at that point. You see what I'm saying as far as time spent in the ratios of returns. The next thing that they kind of said along with that is that they want to prioritize smaller creators more than big creators. And a lot of you guys that are smaller creators that follow me, that you guys are just getting started out, and that's really who my follower base is. My subscriber base on YouTube is people that are still in the trenches trying to work their way up. And love and respect to you guys, because it's not easy. It's really not. This is good and bad. We'll talk about it more later. I could see how, as a smaller creator, you would look at this and go like, this is a win for me. But there are pros and there are cons to this, regardless of if you're a smaller or bigger creator. We'll get into that later. So we're just going to rehash the first three sections here. Make Instagram again is a movement that sparked off this week. They basically asked Instagram, hey, stop being like TikTok. Stop trying to push all this video content so hard. Stop trying to push recommendations so hard. Your algorithm is not great. Start using that algorithm, if you're going to use it, to start pushing photo content. We want to see an emphasis on photos, and we want to see more photos of our friends and family like Instagram used to be. Kind of this nostalgic old school Instagram. Adam Mosseri responded earlier this week and basically said, hey, we're going to support photos, but we're really leaning into video. That's just the direction of the future. All love to you guys, but you guys are just going to have to accept that. That's kind of the vibe he gave. And then he had to come out later this week after things got a little bit hectic for Instagram and they had a bad PR cycle. And then he came out today and clarified, we're going to end full screen feeds, which will only affect a small amount of people at this point. We're going to scale back the recommendations till the algorithm is better. Good decision. And then we're going to keep pushing videos, but I'm going to allude to the fact that maybe we'll push photos more. Now, the jury's still out on whether or not Instagram is actually going to start pushing photos more to kind of make it more equitable with the video push. But if they do, in my mind, what that tells me is if it's a big enough equalization, start putting out tons of photos, guys. That could be a big opportunity, just something to keep an eye out for. And then the last thing, obviously, in today's clarification was we're going to prioritize smaller creators than more bigger pages. We'll talk about the pros and cons of that as we get going. Now, some of these changes are, again, unequivocally, I think, positive changes. Ending full screen sucked. I think there was tons of bad reviews on that. I mean, talking about from a business perspective, if you're literally copying TikTok's full screen experience at all times, that's just a bad idea. If you have a Reels tab where it's full screen because Reels are a full screen style video, that makes sense, right? But why would you change where photos are at? Why would you change the sort of dimensions of the photo feed and being able to see possibly two posts at once and turn it into one with all this blank space? That just seems like a bad idea, and it seems like you're asking people to scroll out of your app at that point. And I don't think copying is a great business tactic. Yo, what up, Haru? How you doing? I don't think copying is a great business tactic. And so I think if you as Instagram, you really want to make good changes as a business, you have to have a little bit of uniqueness, right? You can't just copy everything that is everybody else. You have no identity, and when you have no identity, that's bad marketing. Haru says, good. How about you? Good, bro. I'm just talking about this whole make Instagram again movement this week. Instagram's responses and some of the changes that they mentioned today. So yeah, we're going to kind of look at, we kind of already discussed what those changes are, but we're going to kind of discuss the good, the bad, and what we can take away from this to grow on Instagram ourselves. So hopefully you guys get some value from this. So again, ending the full screen feed, positive change. That's something that they announced today. That's a great change. We don't want to see wasted space on the Instagram home feed, particularly if you can fit two photos in there. I think you're going to get people scrolling for longer than if there's a bunch of empty space. I think it makes it easier to disengage, which is not good for any Instagram creator if people are not spending more time on Instagram. Furthermore, it's a copy of TikTok. You as a business, you want your marketing to be unique. The second positive change that they announced today was, of course, that they are going to keep pushing videos, but possibly photos. So this could be good or bad depending on how you look at it and how it pans out. If this was just a talking point from Mosseri and he was just alluding to the idea of pushing photos further in the algorithm, but he's not going to make any changes, he's just saying that to calm everybody down, then this is a good thing for you if you're already capitalizing on Reels and Reels are working good for you. but this is a bad thing for you if you're not seeing the growth that you want out of Reels, or you're not making Reels at this point. So jury's kind of out on if that's going to be a real change or not. Personally, at a personal level, selfishly, I'm hoping that photos will get a harder push in the algorithm, because like I said, I can put out 2 or 3 photos easy in the time it takes me to make one reel. So if there's more equity between photos, where even if photos are just pushed 20% less, I can put out way more photos and just capitalize on that in a bigger way. But selflessly, I think Instagram is going to have to keep pushing video content if they want to stay relevant into the future. And I know that that's an unpopular opinion, it seems like these days. I don't think the question is if Instagram should push video or have Reels. I think the question is, what should that feed look like? What should the split look like? How often should I see photos to how often should I see videos? Because the other day, I think it was actually this morning, I was scrolling to my feed just to get an idea how much of my feed is Reels. And I swear to you, from the time I opened my feed, I scrolled probably only like half a minute or a minute, nothing but Reels. And that's, in my mind, that's not a great idea. I think you almost, and I could be wrong, I think you almost benefit from having all of these different content varieties, because I think when you're constantly scrolling and you're just being bombarded with noise, I think you sort of desensitize your user base. Whereas if they're scrolling and all of a sudden there's something that's different dimensions, it's a small picture and there's no noise because it's a picture, I almost wonder if that's better at waking the brain back up and getting them to focus on what's going on with the content. I almost wonder too if that, is better for creators if I can post photos and do just as well as I would if I posted videos, because right now it's not the case. Anyways, now some of the bad changes, or some of the changes that have some negatives that they announced today, is that they're going to scale back recommendations. Now, in the short term, this is bad for us as creators because we want recommendations, right? Recommendations are an opportunity for you to get in front of more people. So in the short term, that's bad for us. In the long term, it's going to be better for us for 2 reasons. By scaling back recommendations right now, they said that they're going to work on the algorithm to make recommended posts a little bit more specific, which means that the algorithm, they're going to give people a chance to cool off and stop hating on recommendations, and they're going to slowly phase it back in, which is going to mean people maybe are more perceptive to recommendations in the future, and the algorithm is going to be better. So when we get in front of people as recommended posts, they should be people that are actually more likely to like our content and follow our content than uninterested people. And one of the big complaints this week with, again, the algorithm behind recommendations is, hey, I don't follow this page, I don't follow this hashtag, and I'm seeing this random post, but this is not something that's even relevant to me. And that's been one of the big problems with recommendations, is a lack of relevancy from what I understand. So if they come back with a stronger algorithm that shows people recommendations that are actually hyper specific, great example, right? Maybe you guys watch tons of Instagram growth content, so you start seeing more of my videos because you guys actually like my videos. That would be a good recommendation because that's what you guys are interested in, and you're going to start to see more of that content. So if we see a better pairing of the correct audience with the correct creator, that's going to help the creator and help the audience. People are going to get less agitated seeing bull crap that they don't want in their feed. Creators are going to have people that are more sort of in tune with their branding, their message, what they're talking about, more interested folks. They're more likely to get follows and engagement off those folks as well. Now, the second potentially bad change that Instagram announced today, kind of looking at this from the good and bad perspective, is prioritizing smaller creators. And this is a mixed bag. Now, this is the thing that I said we're going to get into in a sec. And it's, once again, if you guys are following me, you're probably a smaller creator. So you're probably looking at this and going, they're going to prioritize small creators instead of big creators. That's a W. That means I have more opportunities for growth, right? But you guys got to look at it from a super unbiased perspective. Is, in my opinion, this is sort of like Instagram is the equivalent of the government here, and we're dealing with an issue of taxation. Big creators, even though they already have the advantage of getting just natural traffic more than smaller creators, part of the reason that they're getting more traffic is because their content has been vetted, right? These big creators have thousands of followers that are engaging with their content that will immediately tell Instagram through tons of data, hey, their content is really good. You should push it out there to more people. 300,000 people already like this, which means you should push it out to 300 more, let's say, right? 300,000 more. So as much as big creators, it's frustrating when you're a smaller creator. Like, how do these guys get likes on this content that's so basic or so this or that? They're providing a certain value to Instagram and to the people that are scrolling through Instagram by typically having more money and more of a team behind their content. They're typically putting out higher quality content than smaller creators because they have the resources, right? They have the experience, they have more time on the app, more time putting up posts than smaller creators have. So again, you kind of almost have to look at this like Instagram's the government, and we're looking at taxing the wealthy versus taxing, the working class of a country. Should the wealthy be taxed higher? It kind of depends on your perspective on these things, and it kind of depends on where Instagram is at. I'm not going to say that Instagram should pull back from helping out big creators and start pushing only small creators, but I want to serve it to you guys like this. If you have a country that says, you know what, the rich aren't paying their fair share, we're going to tax them at 84%. Something drastic or high, right? What happens to those people that hold so many of the resources and create so many of the jobs and opportunities for the working class? They leave that country and they say, well, you know what, America, I don't want to pay an 84% tax, so I'm going to go over here to Switzerland where, just by example, I don't know, they have a 20% tax, right? Why would I pay 84% when I can go pay 20% over here, right? That's what you see with wealthy people, is they tend to move to the path of least resistance, and it makes sense, right? You don't want to de-incentivize too hard. So we don't want the big creators to leave Instagram and to stop posting on Instagram, because what that's going to do is that's going to hurt our ability to get in front of new people in the long run, right? If we have all these big creators that people follow on Instagram, that people like, great example, let's say Kylie Kardashian, Kylie Jenner, whatever her last name is. A lot of people come to Instagram to look at what Kylie's doing on IG, right? A lot of people come to Instagram to see what Kim K is doing. Let's say that those people leave, you're going to have a certain section of, like a younger female audience who would leave Instagram too, potentially. Let's say Kim's like, you know what, I'm done with Instagram, they're not pushing the content. I'm going to go over here to Be Real, right? You're going to have a certain section of users that stop logging on to Instagram because Kim K, who they came here for, is no longer on the platform. We're going to go to Be Real. So what you want to do is, even if you're pulling back a little bit on the push that bigger creators are getting on the platform, you don't want to do it too much, because then you incentivize those big creators to leave. When those big creators leave, all of their followers will stop logging on Instagram as often, right? I'll give you an example. If Joe Rogan already left YouTube, okay? He got his Spotify deal. Let's say, who's somebody else I watched? Logan Paul. Let's say Logan Paul and Hey Dominic, two other YouTubers I watch, they both switch over to Twitch, let's say, and they stop posting on YouTube. The amount of time that I spend on YouTube is going to start to be significantly less, because those guys are a big part of the reason I'm on YouTube every day, right? They keep me on YouTube on the platform. So the potential for me as somebody scrolling through YouTube to now find new YouTubers is going to be lower, because I'm spending less of my time consuming content on the app. So even though Mosseri is saying that Instagram wants to start prioritizing smaller creators and less of the big creators, I'm really hoping that they do that to a slight degree or to a moderate degree, and not super drastically overnight, because again, you don't want to drive away these big names that keep people coming to the platform, right? Instagram is the sort of the place to be. Instagram is almost like the social media where you just go to like quickly see something about somebody. What do they look like? What are they doing? What are they up to? Where are they at, right? Instagram is kind of that place. You don't want to risk losing your position in the market as that sort of social media platform, because you got too aggressive in devaluing big creators, right? Big creators, they make their money off social media, path of least resistance. If they are like, yo, I'm just not getting reach on Instagram, I'm getting in front of 100,000 people each month instead of 10 million, but over here on this platform, I can get in front of 4 million people each month, they're going to take the 4 million, right? So you don't want to de-incentivize the big creators too much. If it is a moderate pullback from these big creators and push towards these small creators, that will be a win for us, of course. Again, it is just like taxing wealthy people in a country, is you don't want to do too much too drastically, because then the job creating class leaves. I hope that makes sense. If that makes sense, leave a yes in the comments. If not, I'll re-explain it. But hopefully you guys get it, because I don't want to beat a a dead horse. So those are some of the changes that we've seen Instagram make this week after the sort of push from the Make Instagram Instagram Again movement. Mosseri kind of had to come out and make some corrections, and they had to make a couple more drastic changes after really seeing how big this movement got. I think there was a petition, change.org petition to make Instagram again, and I think it got over somewhere around like 250,000 signatures in a few days. So that's a pretty big deal, dude. Also, the lady who posted the original post, basically creating this movement, Make Instagram Again, her original post, which is just an image post, ironically, ended up getting over 2 million likes at this point. So definitely a lot of public sentiment. I mentioned it earlier, but I think Kylie Jenner reposted it on her story as well. So some support from some big names. A lot of news outlets have been covering it too. So definitely some mainstream notoriety as well. I think the sprinkler is finally turned off. Hopefully the sound quality just got better. All right, I'm dying. So what should we do? This is a tough question to kind of give a blanket answer to. But there's 5 things that I've laid out here that I think will help you guys to grow on Instagram going forward, regardless of what changes ended up being implemented or maybe which ones they roll back. These are kind of universal truths that I think are worth actually diving into. And I think one thing that we as sort of the Instagram, YouTube growth community, one thing that we fall short on a lot is us guys that talk about Instagram growth, we kind of give this generic sounding advice and we don't go really deep enough into like what some of these generic ideas are. Things like providing a real value. So I'm going to try and dig deep into each of these kind of 5 points today. And these are all things that I think really will help you in the long run with Instagram's changes, with changes they might make or might not make. These are kind of universal truths. So, number 1 is to diversify. This is one of the biggest ways. One of the biggest things I think you should do if you're trying to grow on Instagram or trying to grow on social media at all right now. We found out this week that it is not hard for the public to get a bad taste in their mouth and want to get off of a platform, right? And that's the thing. Nobody's paying any money to hop on Instagram. No one's paying any money to hop on Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it, right? These are free services, which means we have smaller attachments, smaller investments into each of these platforms. They're easier to leave, right? Instagram could go down any day. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Instagram could be dead tomorrow, right? Adam Mosseri proved that he's a good communicator, but sometimes he can be a little bit tone deaf, right? And that's part of the problem with having a figurehead at the top of these social media platforms too, is it makes it easier to, it's a bigger vulnerability, right? So Instagram could die at any point. So I'm not saying you shouldn't focus on Instagram growth, because you definitely should. But when I say diversify, you should be trying to grow on a couple platforms at once, in my opinion. And I think this is kind of a tough thing, because not everybody's dealing with the same amount of time, the same amount of money, the same amount of resources, experience, talent, etc. It's hard to make a blanket statement here, but here's generally my opinion on this. I don't think that you should try and chase more than 3 or 4 platforms at once. You know, if you're doing it full time, you know, you're like 17 years old, living at mom's house without a job. Maybe you chase 4 or 5 platforms at once. But I think realistically, you should aim for about 2 or 3 that you want to try and be consistent on, right? So by example, that could look like, you know what? I really love TikTok. That's my main. That's what I want to grow on. But I'm also going to post those TikToks on Instagram Reels, and I'm also going to post them on YouTube Shorts. That way, I make the content in one place, but I can capitalize off of 3 platforms with the work of 1 platform. So I really want to see a lot of you guys, if possible, diversify, right? Give you another example. If Instagram is your main and you're like, you know what, I hate that Instagram is turning into TikTok. Photo content is what I love. I love posting photos. Perfect. One way for you to increase your photo reach, right, is to say, I'm not going to only rely on Instagram and whatever the algorithm is doing this week. I'm going to take this photo that I'm posting to Instagram. I'm going to copy the caption. I'm going to copy everything about it, copy the image, and I'm going to post it over on my Facebook page too. Now you've just doubled your distribution, right? Maybe I'm going to post it on Twitter. Maybe I'm going to post it on LinkedIn. Now you've quadrupled your potential distribution, right? And obviously, you know, I'm going to give you guys Instagram growth hacks. Like Instagram will always be my main, but I never want to have all of my eggs in one basket with just Instagram or just YouTube, because that's a recipe for disaster, right? You're more vulnerable. It's the same thing when you're building wealth as well. Keeping too much money in one asset class, right? Like people that have a lot of money, like let's say somebody with $10 million, they're never going to keep that 10 million in just gold or in just stocks for the most part. They're going to diversify that between a couple of different asset classes so that their wealth can never be completely killed. And it should be the same thing with Instagram or any other platform that you're trying to grow on, is you should diversify. You should say like, look, Instagram could be gone tomorrow. Like for me, Instagram's the only platform that I actually have a big page on, right? Like I've got 34,000 followers on Instagram, which is kind of a bigger page. If Instagram just crashed tomorrow, nobody was on Instagram, Instagram was the next MySpace, then all of that work would sort of be in vain, right? And that's part of the reason I'm kind of taking my Instagram experience and success, translating it over to YouTube, is I want to diversify. Also, I just want to help you guys. I love YouTube more than Instagram, low key. But you're gonna be able to exploit all of the different opportunities and advantages of these different platforms just by being on multiple platforms and not having all of your eggs in one basket. So that's the first thing that I think you guys should take away when you're talking about Instagram growth is, look, we're trying to grow on Instagram. That could be your main thing, but you got to make sure that you at least got a couple things that you're building in the background too. All your eggs shouldn't be in one basket. The next thing is that you should be consistent. And I know that people say this on YouTube, and when you're just starting out, this is the most aggravating thing. It's like, bro, I want to grow fast. Don't tell me to be consistent. That's going to take me a year. Like that's going to take me months. Like what is your point? I'm supposed to be consistent when I have no followers. Nobody's looking at my content, but I'm supposed to spend hours each day making content. I'm with you guys. I get it. We'll talk about a couple hacks and stuff on that in just a sec, but one perspective that I really want to instill in you guys, because this is something I'm still trying to instill in myself, but it really is the truth, is when I say be consistent, all the changes that we're talking about with Instagram right now, right? They might start favoring photos more. That's kind of what was alluded to today. They might devalue videos a little bit more, or they might continue to value videos very highly, right? There's feed changes. There's changes with the recommendations algorithm. Every single change that Instagram makes is an opportunity for you to hit a home run and grow your page incredibly quickly, right? When they make these sweeping changes, these minor tweaks, these seemingly minor tweaks in the algorithm, if you're able to capitalize on these changes and go with what Instagram wants when they're making these changes as fast as possible and as hard as possible, a lot of times you'll have huge growth opportunities, right? So when Instagram first rolled out Reels, if you were putting out 4 Reels a day, your page took off. Like, there's no question. And I know this because even a while after they put Reels out, my page took off. This would be pretty much impossible to do today, but in a single year, I put up, I want to say about 310 or 300 million views on my Reels. That would be incredibly difficult to do today, unless you're, Kylie Jenner or something. And that was just, oh, there's an opportunity. I've identified it. This is a big change. Let me go as hard as I can right after this change happened. So when I say be consistent, it's like you have unlimited opportunities up at bat on social media. It is free to post other than your time and your energy, right? And I get that your time is not free, but you have as many times up at bat as you want to go, as you can convince yourself to afford to go. So why would you say, oh, I want to go up to bat twice a week, unless I'm not feeling it, and then I'm going to take a month off because, last time I was at bat, I struck out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in a month, and then I'm going to swing 2 more times. If there's no success, I'll go away for 2 months, and then I'll come back and I'll swing really hard 4 times. What up, Wickstrom? How you doing, bro? So when I say be consistent, it's like, yo, even if it's only once per day on Instagram, you're only posting once per day, just being up at bat every day. Wait for that pitcher to just throw a off ball. One day you're going to hit it out of the park, right? One day you're going to be able to capitalize on the algorithmic change, right? The algorithm is like the pitcher, right? You're pitching the ball, whatever. You know, it might be hard to hit 99% of the time. You need to be there that 1% of the time so that you can hit that home run, right? Because a lot of people are not going to be that consistent, and that's how you're going to get growth. Hold on, let me just check you out real quick. My guy would love to live with you sometime. Bro, I'm sad my Insta isn't doing good so far. Bro, that's kind of what we're talking about today. I'll rewrap some of what we talked about here in just a sec, but right now I'm talking about key takeaways for if you're trying to grow Instagram. And then we'll kind of do a Q&A at the end, so we can talk about your page specifically or anybody else on here with any problems growing. So being consistent, again, it's like, yo, you can be at bat as many times as you want on social media. Why are you not at bat 24/7 damn near? You see what I'm saying? All it takes is 1%, you know, that 0.001% of the time that the algorithm just decided it was going to blow you up and you weren't at bat. You don't want to miss that. That's my perspective. Along with that, once again, capitalize on changes, especially when they add new features, like Reels was a big one. If Instagram is all of a sudden pushing Reels and they're announcing, hey, Reels are the future, why would you not post Reels? They are telling you that they're going to push it harder. And there are going to be features like this in the future. Might be 2 months, might be 2 years. We never know. And that's why as soon as you hear news about new features, you want to go there, right? A new feature is going to suck out all the oxygen from all the other features on Instagram. That's just historically kind of what we've seen. So you want to be there to capitalize on all of that kind of influx of air. You want to be one of the first ones there when those changes are made. Another thing to consider as well is that even if there's not these significant updates, these significant feature changes, Instagram's algorithm auto-updates several times per day. By virtue of what an algorithm is, it is artificial intelligence. It's a complex mathematical equation that's sort of able to think for itself, right? It's programmed what the goals are, and then it's going to try to achieve the goals by making minor tweaks. So it might be something as simple as we've noticed that when we show people that are 42 years old and Caucasian and are diabetic videos of mountain bikes from Canada mountain biking pages, I'm giving a very specific example, right? That they tend to stay on Instagram for an extra 42 minutes. I'm saying 42 here a lot. So the algorithm is going to auto make an adjustment. You know what? All these 42-year-old Caucasians with diabetes, we're going to push Canadian mountain biking content to them because this is going to help our business and help people to stay on the platform for longer. Now, the algorithm might have identified that in a number of cases. That might not be a universal truth, so that might only be a change that occurs for 2 days, let's say, right? Before the algorithm realizes, oh, you know what, that was a flaw. That was just a particular data set that's not true across the board. Now, if you're a mountain biking page, let's say, and you were able to capitalize on that, and you were able to tag Vancouver or a bunch of Canadian cities or whatever, and you were there, you were consistent, you were ready for these random changes in the algorithm, maybe on that first or second post where you just tagged a random Canadian city, like, oh, shoot, I got way more views than I did on just my regular content. I'm recognizing that right now the algorithm is pushing something about this post. I'm going to copy the same hashtags, I'm going to try to use the same caption, I'm going to try to tag the same place, I'm going to try to make the same reel that's as similar to this one as possible, make a couple tweaks, and I'm going to capitalize off of what I'm noticing here. Is the algorithm, I'm saying that the algorithm auto-updates so often that there are always opportunities for growth. You just got to get out there and find them, and by being consistent, by always being up at bat, constantly just hitting ball after ball, you can start to identify some of these trends or some of these shifts, some of these changes, right? And you can start to capitalize on the algorithm and some of its inconsistencies or maybe some of the opportunities within it. I'm going to give you an example too, a real example. This one will help you out, Wickstrom. So listen up, bro. Our buddy Scott, me and Wickstrom know him in real life. He runs a gym page, okay? And Scott had a reel that went viral, and it's about to break 2 million views. I actually have a video coming out on it later this week. So homie has less than 1,200 followers at this point, and he's got a reel that gets 1.8 million views in about a week. That's huge. He's like, dude, I've got so many followers off of this reel. I got so many views. I've never seen anything blow up this fast on my personal social media or anything. It's like, yeah. I was like, good stuff, Scott. Just, like, figure out whatever formula you put into this video and try to kind of replicate that. Try to get more kind of funny content like this one is out there. Let's see if we can do another 2 million on another reel, right? Try and replicate, try and do this again, right? Now, Scott stayed consistent. He kept posting. He did all the right things. He just kept going. But for about 3 weeks or a month straight, his reels started getting less and less and less and less and less and less views. And this is something that a lot of you guys can relate to and identify with. So instead of seeing, 2 million on a reel, and before that his reels were getting like 60,000, it started going down to like 30,000, 2,000, 10,000, 5,000 views, 8,000 views. And it stayed like that for a month. And he was talking to me personally. He's like, hey bro, like, I'm kind of frustrated. I just feel like I put all this effort into making this one funny reel. It gets 2 million views. And then I've put so much effort into the next 12 reels, however many it was. I put all of this effort into trying to make these just as funny as that one. And these are getting like 8,000 views. I'm just not getting the exposure that I once got. I said, all right, bro, I get it. But you got to understand that Instagram's algorithm is always changing. One week you're going to feel like the smartest man on the planet, and the next week you're going to feel like the dumbest guy on the planet. That's how Instagram is, right? Like, I felt like the coolest guy in the world when I was getting in front of 41 million people a month. Do you guys truly fathom how difficult it is in the modern world to get in front of 41 million people in a month? Do you realize the value of that? That's absolute insanity. I felt like the man. I was like, dude, I was growing, at one point, I think I grew 5,000 followers in a week. And I think I did that for 3 weeks straight. Felt like the man, right? Next thing I know, the algorithm is making a significant change. They're not pushing reels, reposted reels the same as they once did. And I'm like, oh man. And I catch this L and I feel like I'm stuck, right? I told Scott, I said, hey, 1 month, 1 week, you're going to feel like you're the man. The next, you're going to feel like, what am I doing here? That is part of the game. You can't get too caught up in the highs. You can't get too caught up in the lows. You need to stay consistent with your content. And eventually, the algorithm will come back around. That pitcher, the algorithm is going to throw a weak pitch, and you're going to be there to just smack it out of the park. Because instead of packing up your bat and going home, you stayed consistent. You said, no, keep pitching. I'm going to keep hitting. And eventually, you're going to hit that home run, right? And Scott's gym page, he hasn't seen another reel with 2 million views just yet. I have no question in my head that Scott will if he keeps doing what he's doing. But this week he posted one reel that did 60 million views in a day, and then the next day posted another reel that did 20,000 views in a day. And both of these are still trending upward in big ways. So it's kind of like just being consistent. I know it sounds so generic, but you guys really got to be like strong in this. You got to be headstrong in the fact that I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. If I stay consistent with this, I'm going to be able to just keep throwing those pitches. I'm missing them. It's all laughs. I'm missing. I feel stupid. I keep missing with my bat. If I keep swinging long enough, I'm going to hit one out of the park. Just keep throwing them, right? And that goes back into, too, the more time that you spend on social media, the better your technique is going to get with that bat at trying to hit those home runs. So that's another reason to stay consistent. It's not just because you're getting more opportunities to hit, but you're going to get better at swinging, at learning what are the factors that make a reel go viral. You know what? I've got 10 viral reels out of my 100. Let me see the common factors. Oh, when I make people laugh, they go a lot farther in the algorithm. That is actually, by the way, a growth hack that you guys should adopt if you haven't already. I got a chat though. Let me check. Haru said, hey, Stevie. Stevie said, hey, bro. What up, guys? So that's my second one. So again, when we're talking about, what is the future of Instagram growth, social media growth, what do I think that you guys should be doing as somebody that's, living and breathing this? I think the first thing is diversify. Whatever you're posting on Instagram, find another platform to post it on. If you're posting reels, then post it on YouTube Shorts. Post it on TikTok as well. Capitalize on the fact that there are multiple platforms that are free to use. Up your distribution and don't put all your eggs in one basket. The second thing is be consistent. The more time that you spend up at bat, the more opportunities you're giving yourself to hit a home run. On top of that, being consistent is going to help you to kind of fine-tune your batting skills and make it easier to hit home runs in the future. Plus, algorithms are always changing. It's the equivalent of, constantly putting in a new pitcher, right? It's like even if they're all really good, eventually you're going to find a pitcher that throws you the right ball and you're going to hit it out of the park. So don't be too scared when people talk about algorithmic changes and updates. Is that can actually be used as a big advantage for you. Just some food for thought there. Now, the third thing that I want to talk about out of these 5 is build a following that transcends platforms. And this is something that is very difficult, but I'm trying to do it right now. So this kind of ties into that first one of diversification, but let's say that you've got an Instagram account and you've got 30,000 people following you, right? You want to build such a loyal audience, and you want to talk about other things you're doing and get personal enough that you have the leverage to then take them onto another platform. A great example of somebody that was able to do this back in the day was like the Paul brothers with the Vine. Logan Paul, Jake Paul. These guys blew up on Vine, but they were able, because they built a strong enough audience or a big enough audience, to transition some of those followers into being YouTube followers, and then had a huge head start on YouTube that they were able to, obviously we know the story, Logan Paul, Jake Paul took off on YouTube, right? So you want to build a loyal following that's able to transcend platforms with you. And this is true of more than just Instagram. Let's say you're watching my videos for Instagram growth hacks because actually what you found is LinkedIn is where you're getting most of your growth, or TikTok is where you're getting most of your growth. And so you want to grow your Instagram to make it a little bit more equitable, or a little bit more even, right? The same thing would apply there, is to say, if you're getting all your growth over here, make sure that you're doing things you can to build loyalty in that audience, to build honesty in that audience, to where they're going to follow you onto different platforms, including Instagram. And that will help you grow on Instagram as well. You know, I'll just talk personally. I'll get pretty real with my YouTube situation. Right now, if you guys follow YouTube for real, you guys know that I have my ebook that I locked myself inside for about 3 weeks and worked really hard on this ebook. And it's all of my Instagram knowledge and growth hacks that got me to over 30,000 followers in a year. You know, it's the honest truth. I know my numbers. Some people have kind of said like, yo, 30,000 a year is not crazy. That's fine. I know that there's a lot of you guys out there that would love to do 30,000 a year. So I just packaged it all in a book, put it out there for free. But I said, hey, I want to really build a mailing list, an email list, so that one day when I provide a service or some sort of knowledge or some sort of product that's actually really valuable to my audience, that I can have a list of people to email about this offer, right? So when we're talking about building a following that transcends platforms, that's one thing that I'm trying to do with YouTube right now. Is I'm trying to say, hey, if you guys want my ebook, it's 100% free. All I want is an email. Technically, you could give me a fake email, right? Like it's free, but I asked for a real email so that one day when I offer you guys a service that I think is really worth your time and money, I have access to just, hey, I know I haven't sent you an email before. I don't know if you guys even remember me. You bought my ebook a year ago, whatever. Or got my ebook for free a year ago. Here's my offer. I think building an email list is a really effective way to build an audience that transcends platforms, because email is proven to be time-proof to a degree, right? Like email has been around since the 90s. We're in 2020. It's a 30-year platform. So trying to think about how can I take my followers from a platform that might be here today and gone tomorrow, like Instagram could be, let's face the honest truth, particularly with the bad news cycle that they're in right now. How do I take them from there to a platform that's going to be a little bit more timeless, and now I have access to talk to these people in 22 years? You see what I'm saying? You got to think long term with it as well when you're thinking about how do I grow online, how do I grow an Instagram account. You know, and it could be something as simple as I'm getting more growth on TikTok, but I want to grow my Instagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell my people from TikTok to click the link in bio, and now I've got a link tree or whatever that's going to take them to my Instagram and YouTube to help me grow those platforms. You really want to figure out ways to transcend the platform that you're on. Hold on, I got a couple comments. Let me just check the chat here. He says, I hate this post is going to be better than 95% of posts. I'm just like, bro, shut the F up, haha. Because it only has like 39 likes. I get you, bro. The reason Instagram does that, the reason that Instagram constantly tell you, they do it on one of my IG accounts too, just constantly spam me. The reason that they do that is because they want you to spend money on ads. They're saying, hey, this post is technically performing better than your last few posts. We could put some ad money behind this and see how many followers you get. Like they're really trying to sell you. That's what they're doing, right? And in my experience, my personal opinion, this is some good value actually. I don't think Instagram ads are worth it, paying for Instagram ads. I have paid for Instagram ads before, and I'm trying to remember what the exact numbers were, but it was something like I paid, I want to say around $20 over like a couple days, and I think I got my content in front of something like 13,000 people or something like that, right? And I'm just looking at it like, dude, I could post 3 reels for free, save the $20, and get in front of 15,000 people. You see what I'm saying? In my opinion too, I'd rather make more content and then have more assets, because it goes back to distribution. Is if I make 3 reels, it's like, yeah, they might only pop on Instagram and get 5,000 views on each of those videos, whatever, 15,000 views collectively. But now I've got those videos to where if I want to shift them over and distribute them on YouTube Shorts, or I want to distribute them on TikTok, I can also do that. So in my opinion, if you've got the option of like spend the money or spend the time creating more content that will get the same amount of whatever, build your catalog, dude, because you can distribute your catalog in the future to different platforms too. Got my notes here, kind of my business model too, if you guys are curious about this. I don't know if you guys are, but with my emailing list, my kind of business philosophy has been, I want to give you guys all the info I can for free, you know, like, unless it's really like truly like some sort of info that I can't let it get out there to more than a couple hundred people or something, like it's a hidden hack, you know, something like that. And even then I might put it out on YouTube for free. I want to give you guys as much info as possible, if not all the info, for free. That's my business model. And then I only ever want to ask you guys to pay for a service or a product if I think there's real value behind it. Like, one of the reasons I've had people ask me like, yo, you should make some merch, dude. Like, I know your channel's small, but I would support. One of the reasons I haven't done merch is because I want to make sure that I actually have the resources to talk with different suppliers and really pick out, you know, the finest materials for my clothing. I want to be able to actually spend some time, you know, maybe hire some graphic designers and really put out a dope shirt that people would be like proud to wear. Even if they didn't know the brand, they'd be like, oh, that's a dope shirt, right? Like, I don't want to half-ass anything. And I want to, like, one service I've thought about starting, you know, I really shouldn't put this out there, but, you know, maybe it'll be a good thing. I want to make a ghost follower service. I don't know how to code what I need to code in probably HTML, but I would love to make a ghost follower identification service where somebody can send me a little bit of money and I have a bot go through and scrub through your followers and then scroll through your previous engagement on your post and say, okay, here are a list of 1,000 ghost followers you have. Now, these top 82 don't have profile pictures and have suspicious names, like ton of numbers in their names. They also don't have bios. We think that these are the first ghost followers you should get rid of. And then after that, maybe these are more questionable. Maybe if you remove these top ones, these next ones will engage with you. I would really like to do an in-depth ghost follower service like that one day. And that's a service that I would feel comfortable asking you guys to pay for, because I know it would help you guys. I've seen it personally when I remove ghost followers. And I think that there's a couple tweaks I could do with that business that would make it more valuable, you know, being on this side of it and really just seeing the problems with ghost follower identification services. So when I, you know, build up this mailing list, this following that would transcend platforms or transcend different business models, that would be something I would feel comfortable charging you for. But that's a little bit of a tangent. Main point still stands. Build a following that will transcend across platforms with you, right? All of the best creators do this. You don't want to only grow your platform or only grow your audience on one platform and just neglect the rest. That is a bad idea. That's a recipe for disaster. So in addition to diversification, you want to make sure that you're constantly dragging people away from the one platform that you're growing the fastest on. There's a reason too, just to give you guys some perspective, that when I post on YouTube, I get more comments and I get more comments from the same people on YouTube. I get the same people talking to me, reaching out to me from YouTube on my Instagram too, than I get from 34,000 followers on my Instagram. I have more loyalty and I get more conversations going from my 600 YouTube subscribers than I do from the 34,000 people that follow my rap page on Instagram. And that's just having that personal touch and providing real value, which we'll get into in a minute. But that's how you build a loyal enough audience that will transition or transcend across platforms with you. So something to keep in mind. Now, number 4, in kind of what should we do looking forward with Instagram growth, right? Number 4 is you should definitely gain as much reputation as possible and as strong of a reputation as possible, and you should build relationships in your niche. So this is one of those things too that I want to try and get as specific as I can with this. People talk about building relationships in your niche with your followers and talk about, building reputation and stuff. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, what do I do? But what you really got to do is you got to like level and be honest with yourself about, how do I look when I'm putting out this content? Do I look like somebody that's worth following? Or do I look and sound like somebody that's worth following? Or do I look and sound like somebody that's kind of flaky, kind of shady? Am I engaging with as many of my followers as I can? Am I replying to all of my DMs to actually learn who these people are at a real level? Am I building reputation with them by learning to communicate better with them? Or is my reputation just that I post content, but I'm impossible to reach? So a really good book to read on this, and I don't usually make book recommendations, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's so much about gaining reputation and building relationships that will benefit you in the long run on Instagram, on social media in general. If you actually DM your followers, or when they DM you, you answer back. When they comment, you comment back. You're asking questions. It's not a one-sided conversation. You're genuinely trying to get to know them, and you're genuinely caring about what they're interested in, what their questions, what their concerns are. Operating with that kind of real love and humility is going to help you to build and cultivate a much better reputation, and it's going to help you to build a more loyal, real relationship with the people in your audience and in your niche. Another thing is I think it's important to brand yourself as an authority figure or an expert for your niche, for what you talk about. So Carson, looking at you, bro, with your gym content. The angle that Scott has approached the gym from with his gym page is kind of like comedy, right? He mixes kind of like memes and comedy with like lifting and I guess kind of bodybuilding, right? Now, I think that an angle that you could definitely take that I would like to see you take, I think you would have a lot of growth potential with this, is if you branded yourself as an expert in strength training. You for your weight, for how much you weigh, the amount of weight that you're putting up is got to be like top 0.01% on the planet. I think you'd agree with that. I'm not saying that to like suck your, whatever either. I'm actually saying like truly like what you've done is exceptional. So one angle that I would like to see you take is to really position yourself and brand yourself, talk about yourself, talk from a position of, I'm an expert. I'm the guy that you should come to with questions. I'm the guy that's going to answer the questions that you have. And here's why. My answer is the correct one, and here's why you should trust me. So what you guys want to do is you guys want to be able to do that in your own niche, right? I think I've branded myself as an Instagram growth expert, but not as the highest tier, most nerdy, pencil pushing, number crunching expert out there. I figured out a way to brand myself as an expert, but still have a little bit of uniqueness and character. And that's, I really think I'm trying to successfully brand myself as sort of like the king underdog. Like, hey, I'm in the trenches with you guys. My Instagram is not some page at 800,000 followers where I'm making 6 figures a year off my Instagram. Like, I make a little bit of change. I'm just sharing what works for me with you guys as soon as I figure it out. And I think learning how to position yourself and brand yourself is one of the biggest things that you could do for Instagram growth and for social media growth. Honestly, for personal brand growth too. But we got a comment here. Let me hop in real quick. Yes, my plan is to do 3 more videos of how I gained strength as a small boy, how I deadlifted 520 weighing 146 and so on. Brother, give you guys a little bit of context in the audience that don't know my buddy Carson. This man literally caught rhabdomyolysis, I think is what it's called. I hope this is okay with me saying this, Wick. I say this out of respect. Literally caught rhabdomyolysis, which he started having essentially internal bodily issues because this man was so dedicated to the gym. This man loved the gym. It was an addiction for him, right? And he would lift, I think, somewhere in the ballpark of 7 to 11 times a week or something crazy like that. Your work ethic, your level of experience in the gym is truly unparalleled. I don't ever want you to get that shit again. Like, take it easy in the gym just a little bit now. But I think you're at the point where you've proven that your dedication and your position in the gym is that of an expert. And I think that you could definitely brand yourself as such and, give some of your personal takes on these things. And I personally, I see that as a trajectory that you could grow on. And I don't think, I don't want to pit my friends against each other. I've got 2 friends with the gym pages here. But I think Scott is going to have the faster growth trajectory where he's using humor to grow because just realistically, humor is a lot more viral and conducive to shares. It's a lot faster at growing. But I think you can build deeper relationships. You'll get slower growth, but deeper relationships with the advice that you can give and with the real knowledge that you have. It's second to very few, if not second to none, the amount of experience that you have, at your weight, doing what you've done, the amount of time that you spent in the gym over the years. It's really crazy. I think even if, I'm just being honest with you, I think if you position yourself that way, you're going to see slower growth than some of our buddies that are running gym pages. I just heard the most bizarre bird I've ever heard. Anyways. But I think in the long term, you would be able to build deeper relationships that would give you more leverage if you wanted to make money as a creator and if you really wanted to, in the long term, build a brand that you could live off of and feed your kids and wife off of one day. Just some thoughts. And that's not me hating on Scott or anybody who has funny gym pages. Like, you can definitely make a living off that and have a long-term brand as well. I'm saying that I think you're going to build a little bit more of a loyal following if all you're doing is just providing value, right? Just my 2 cents. I got a couple of comments on me. Wick says, thanks, man. I truly did grind super hard. True, I also want to go to school for physical therapy. There you go, bro. Having that combination of the formal education and the sort of street education, if you will, of actually being in the gym each day, I think that would be easy for you to brand yourself as an expert. But going back to kind of the broader audience away from just the gym content, any of you guys are an authority figure in some way, shape, or form at something. I firmly believe that. Or you can be, right? Like, I wasn't an Instagram growth expert 3 years ago. I had no idea how to grow on Instagram. I just started consuming a lot of content, saw some crazy growth, and started reporting what worked for me. I literally made my first Instagram series on Instagram growth for fun. I was like, originally when I graduated from college, I didn't even want to do social media growth. I kind of wanted to do YouTube, but my goal was to do Amazon FBA, to do private labeling, and to actually build brands with physical products. But I figured out about some unscrupulous business practices in China and how a lot of products are, maybe tied to labor that's not voluntary. I got to be careful with what I say here. And certain patterns of behaviors that were perpetrated towards certain groups of people in the 1930s in a certain German country that are also possibly, theoretically, allegedly happening in China today, if you guys catch my drift. I got to be careful because YouTube will get me in trouble for saying what I'm trying to say here. So, where was I? I lost my train of thought. Authority figure, expert at what you do. Oh yeah, I said this to say, I was going to do physical product, noticed some issues, pivoted over to social media. That was not the plan. I started doing it honestly out of fun to see if I could yo, this seems like a fun business to try out. Um, Let me start a YouTube series and see if it works out. It did work out. I started growing my Instagram fast, and then I just kind of became this Instagram growth guy, right? So I say that to say, you don't have to attack it from the perspective of an expert, but maybe um, you brand yourself as, hey, I'm in the trenches with you guys, kind of like I've done. Like, I'm not some high level business owner or whatever. I'm going to teach you about Amazon, or I'm going to teach you about fashion, not from somebody who's, doing it at the highest level, but from the perspective of somebody who is actually trying to start out, somebody who is at a similar level to what a lot of you guys are at. And there's actually, still a really broad slice of pie for you guys to get, a broad audience for you to get, even if you're not branding yourself at the highest level, but you're saying like, hey, I'm at this low level like you guys, but we're trying to get to the high level together. You still have a lot of potential if you brand yourself that way. So it's my opinion that you should either brand yourself as an expert, an authority in something, try to become an authority in something, or, while you're trying to become the authority in something, make content talking about how you're not the authority. Just be authentic and just be consistent in what you talk about. And it'll really help you to grow your audience. And to build your reputation and get those relationships. So I'm just going to kind of go down this list really quick again, just cover the points about, what are the takeaways if you want to grow on social media today. By the way, if you guys are in here, hit like. It does help me out. If you guys are not subscribed, hit subscribe. If you guys want to get my free Instagram Growth Hacks ebook, everything I did to get to 30,000 followers, the link is bit.ly/capital I lowercase g, capital G, RO, RO or lowercase TH, capital HACKS, IG Growth Hacks. That was brutal. I can't do that again. I'm just going to have to start writing this stuff on paper if I'm going to plug my ebook. But so what we talked about with Instagram growth and where I see the future going is you're going to have to diversify, okay? If Instagram is your first, that's great. You should also be posting on other platforms. If it's photos, maybe you're posting on Twitter, LinkedIn, Be Real, whatever. If it's video, if it's short form video that you're posting on Instagram, you know what? Let's take it over to TikTok. Let's take it over to YouTube Shorts, maybe even Facebook for their little Facebook Reels or whatever it is. Diversify. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. Secondly, if you want to grow on Instagram today, be consistent. You are graced on social media with infinite opportunities at bat. Why are you not taking an opportunity, at least one each day? You should be taking as many opportunities as you can, because if you just strike out 2 or 3 times, you're like, okay, I'm gonna pack up my bag and come back. You're missing out on so many more opportunities to hit those home runs, right? So being consistent, just being there when the time finally does come that somebody throws a bad pitch and you can hit that thing out of the park, grow like crazy. It's a big one. Third thing is, build a following that transitions or transcends across platforms. A lot of you guys, I'm sure, that are trying to grow on Instagram, you might have slightly bigger followings on other platforms. Figure out, how can I get those people over to my Instagram? How can I get those people from my Instagram over to this platform? How can I take my Instagram followers and build an email list? How can I take them and plug my YouTube? How can I get my YouTube followers to follow me on Instagram? You want to be able to have that kind of cross-platform audience, because that shows that you built a loyal audience, and that's also going to help you in the long term. Again, not having all your eggs in one basket. If Instagram collapses and Instagram's the only platform that you grew on, tough, right? So, fourth, what we just talked about is build a really strong reputation and build relationships in your niche. Relationships with your followers are the most important thing that you can do. Relationships with other names in your niche are incredibly important, and garner your reputation. Am I going to be the expert in my field? Am I going to be a blend of two things, right? Like, so our buddy Scott is kind of a gym expert, but he's also pretty funny, right? He's combined those two things. Am I going to combine two things? Am I just going to be the highest level expert in my field? Which is what I think you should take as your approach, Carson, just my 2 cents. And then also, another thing that you can do is actually brand yourself as sort of like the underdog, as the everyman in your niche. Is by example, instead of being the Kim Kardashian of fashion and constantly being in Fashion Week or whatever, you're like, hey, here's four outfits that you can do on a budget of $32, right? That you've lowered yourself to be the everyman. You're a little bit more humble, but that also means that you're going to have a bigger, you're still going to have a huge pot of people to potentially get followers from, because the vast majority of people are buying fashion on a budget. Or to use my example, there are a ton of people that are interested in Instagram growth content but don't already have big followings, and so they're going to be interested in somebody like me who's a little bit closer, kind of bridge the gap between some of these bigger pages and where they're at. I'm kind of in the middle, so they can, okay, what are these big names saying? What is Mitch saying? Okay, I'm going to try and figure out what I want to do now. So kind of branding yourself as the everyman is another opportunity. I got to chat, and then we're going to get into the fifth point and the final point, and kind of some of the strategies that you should use to grow your Instagram going forward, or to grow on social media in general going forward too. Wick said, my TikTok isn't decent. 735 followers. Bro, TikTok and Instagram are weird. People say that TikTok presents bigger growth opportunities. I haven't found that to be true, but I also don't want to discredit people that grow faster on TikTok, because that is a real thing. Like, there are a lot of people that grow incredibly fast on TikTok. If you're seeing outsized returns on TikTok, hey, let's make TikTok your main chick for a while. Make sure that you're posting on both platforms, though, so that you can, double your distribution. But there's no shame in saying, hey, I'm growing faster over here. Maybe I'm going to start focusing a little bit more on tailoring my content towards my TikTok audience, or towards TikTok content in general, which has slightly different contextual things like sounds than Instagram Reels do, right? So maybe it's, instead of making all my stuff on Reels first and then posting it to TikTok, maybe I'm making it on TikTok first and then I'm posting it to Instagram Reels. One thing I will give you guys, and this is a big piece of advice, this is something I'm going to talk about in a video I've got coming out probably this next week. If you guys do make your content on TikTok and you're going to post it on Instagram, make sure that you don't just hit save on TikTok on your video and then post it directly to Instagram. If you've got that TikTok watermark bouncing around your video, like what happens when you just click save on your own video, Instagram actually is going to devalue your video in the algorithm. Instagram is going to make sure it doesn't go as far, because they look at that and say like, oh, they're just copying TikTok videos. Get this guy up out of here. So what you want to do if you make a TikTok video on TikTok and you're going to post it on Instagram as well, is you want to use TikTok video downloader. So if you type in TikTok video downloader, you'll get websites where you can just pop in the link from your TikTok video, and it'll help you to download that video without the TikTok watermark bouncing around. That way when you post it to Instagram, you're not automatically getting devalued off the bat. Let me check this comment. We still got to get into the fifth point. This is a long live stream. Does Insta hate the TikTok watermark? Oh yeah, perfect. You answered it. That was actually kind of weird. I answered what you asked before reading it. What up, bro? How you doing? Yeah. Oh, I don't even know how to say your name, bro. I'm gonna call you Lack. Is it an app? No, it's a website. So just straight up Google TikTok downloader or TikTok video downloader, and you should be able to find it. And then you just, on your TikTok, there's like the little options, wherever you copy the link from the video that you want to download, and then you take it into the website, you click paste, it's going to download it to your, if you have an iPhone, it's in the top right, it's just your little downloads folder, and then you just save the video to your camera roll from there. Then you've got a video, it's usually pretty high quality, that you can pop over into Instagram without having to worry about Instagram's algorithm devaluing that video for having that TikTok watermark. So thank you to everyone that's happening right now. It looks like we got 7 viewers. It's pretty cool. We're going to get to a Q&A at the end, so if you guys have any questions, if you guys want me to get into your specific kind of circumstances, we can do that. This fifth thing, though, looking at how do we grow on Instagram going forward? What's the future of Instagram growth? Providing real value. And once again, this is one of those things, I get it. YouTubers say this, like Gary Vee says it a lot. Provide value. And you're like, bro, what is value? That doesn't help me. So let's just spend the next few minutes trying to clarify, what does value look like? Value does not look like I'm posting pictures of myself with a cool caption. That's not what value looks like. There are very few people that are going to get value from that. I'm speaking mostly to men here as well. If you're a woman, it's kind of messed up to say, but Post a picture of yourself with a clever caption, you're going to get more men that find value in that because they find you attractive than if you're a man and you just post a picture of yourself with a caption, right? Like that's the only value that may be occurring if you just post a picture of yourself, you know, trying to look big, trying to look cute, whatever. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer to anybody here, but when you're talking about value, you need to shift the perspective 100% or at least 90% from what do I want to post to what do people need, right? So first you should start from a basis of what do I want to post. We'll use Carson as an example, right? He loves the gym. He wants to make a gym page. Perfect. That's your passion. You should chase your passion, no question. Do the thing that you want to do. But now that we're here, now that you're looking at it from, okay, how do I provide value? We need to look at it from the perspective of what do people need to hear? Who is your target demographic that's going to follow you? It is guys that are trying to look like you. Now, guys that are trying to look like you aren't just going to want to be showing pictures of like, yo, here's like, you know, the workout that I did. I guess they will want to see your workouts. They won't want to see just like, yo, like I got a nice pump or like I got this or that. They're going to want to see like specific workout routines. What are his sets? What is his weight? What is his diet? What are his, like, you know, mindset things? Like, how long has he been at this? They're going to want to see those specifics. They want to see the real value, the actual nuance, the nitty gritty. They don't just want to see the finished product, right? It's the difference between talking to a millionaire and the millionaire is just like, yeah, I'm rich. It's pretty dope. I buy cool shit. Versus you talk to a millionaire and he's like, hey, if you want some advice, you know, if you're trying to build your wealth too, I think that these two stocks have huge opportunities to blow up in the next year. I don't know how much money you've got to play around with. Even if it's only $300, you might be able to turn that 300 into 3,000. These are what I'm buying right now. Do you see the difference? You're talking to a millionaire, right? In one circumstance, you got no value from him. He was kind of flexing. He was just being a cool millionaire or whatever. And in the other one, he humbled himself. He showed humility, and he gave you what you really wanted to hear from a millionaire, which is some millionaire advice. Let me hop in the comments real quick. Hi, bro. Remember me? Rapidly. Dude, it's been a minute. Of course I remember you. How you doing, bro? How's IG growth going? So I'm not trying to pick on Carson or anybody else here by talking about real value. I'm giving my honest 2 cents. I have found that you build the most loyal audience when you think about like what do people really need, and when you remove self from the equation. I think humility, as generic as it sounds, is one of the best ways that you're going to find what value you can provide, is removing a lot of your self-desire and your selfishness from the equation. I make my best YouTube content, just being honest with you guys. I make my best YouTube content when I stop trying to think about what do I want and I start trying to think about like, who's my core audience? Like, it's people with probably less than 3,000 followers that want to grow their Instagram as fast as they can, and they want to know what they need to do to make that happen. And I think about, okay, how do I facilitate that for them? So I have to go back and say, okay, when I was at 3,000 followers, what were the things that I actually tried and that I did and that I needed to hear that helped me to get to 30,000 followers, right? What are those things? And then I gotta kind of stop looking at it from my perspective and remove a lot of ego, and I have to look at it from the perspective of like I got to be the voice to these people that I needed at that point, right? Like I would have loved a voice when I was first starting out trying to grow on Instagram. I would have loved somebody that's going to say like, hey, don't even bother with these growth tactics. These are in my experience just pretty much BS. You don't want to get banned. I would have loved a voice that said, hey man, don't stack up these action bands. And by the way, if you don't want to get action bands, here's how many actions you should stick to. I didn't have any of these specifics, right? I would have loved a voice that said, here's how to do the follow for follow method safely. I would have loved all of these specifics, right? So you can translate that into your different niche. For you, Wick, maybe at the gym, it's like, hey, you're going to take yourself back in your head mentally to like, oh, who was I when I was first in the gym? year one, right? Like, who was I and what things did I try that were bogus? What things did I think that were not true? What lessons would I have loved to have learned at that point that I learned all these years later? What information did you need at that point? And then be that person that you needed then to somebody else. That's how you provide real value. Be the person that you needed earlier in your journey to somebody else. So when we talk about providing real value, I know that it gets hard to give specifics. I can talk about the gym niche, I can talk about rap pages, Instagram growth, but there's going to be 100 people out there that don't get the specifics that they need because they're in such a targeted niche. You know, maybe they're talking about horror movie reviews on Instagram. And they're like, well, how does that help me? In my opinion, that's the best way to look at it, is to kind of humble yourself and say, like, less than like, what do I want to make myself feel good with my content? What do the people need? What does my audience need? Who is my audience and what do they need right now? It's kind of like you're identifying the base and just serving them what they need or what they want, which is kind of honestly business 101. We got Rap Lane. How many times do you put into your, or how much time do you put into your IG account? I can't read, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you right now, Rap Lane. I've been slacking on on Trap Theory 101, and even on the backup Trap Theory 202. At this point, I probably put in, every other day I put in about an hour. And I need to get more aggressive with it because I think that there is still a future on my page. One of the things I talked about earlier in today's stream is I found way more loyalty from I get more engagement, like people really reaching out to me and making important comments that affect my life from my 600 YouTube subscribers than I do from my 34,000 rap followers on Instagram. And I thought about that. And I think it's just because I'm so personal with you guys on here. And I deliver more real value that actually helps you guys out. Whereas with my rap page, I'm just either giving news on like whatever dumb stuff is happening with music or just like memes, funny stuff, right? Which memes are a great way to get exposure and grow faster, but you don't build that real depth with your audience. And so I've been a little bit disheartened with my rap page. I'm not making excuses. I should be more aggressive right now because I have an opportunity and I don't want to drop the ball. I should be spending more time on it, but I'm also a little bit disheartened. Like, did I really pick the right niche? Like, is this something that I want to spend the next 10 years growing this page? Like, my name's not attached to it, which is cool because I can hand it off to somebody else if I ever need to, right? But I just feel like there's a lack of personal connection and drive at this point. And I don't want to take a step back. I'm not prepared to take a step back yet. But there's definitely not as much passion behind it now as there was in the beginning. And another component that I haven't even talked about is I've had a lot of ghost followers stack up on that page, which kind of slowed my growth for a minute. That's why I've been stuck at 34,000 followers. Talked about this last live. I've been kind of poor because I ran through my savings and stock money this last year, growing my Instagram, growing my YouTube, just learning this like marketing stuff. And I picked up a part-time job, but I'm looking for a full-time job right now. So it's just, I'm in between work, and I don't have as much discretionary income. It's kind of hard for me to justify spending $100 for a ghost follower identification service to then make those changes, remove those ghost followers that would help me to get growth again. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's kind of disheartening. It's almost like, well, I've got all these ghost followers I need to remove. So even if I post 10 times a day, it's not going to get near as much reach as it should. But I find it hard to spend $100 on a ghost follower identification service right now where I'm between jobs. There's a certain lack of security right now. You know how it goes. Let me read the chat though. Roblin said, have you talked about the IG Reels update? In my opinion, a YouTube channel is better to grow than an IG account. So first, let me start with that second comment. I agree, man. YouTube is better in the long run to grow than Instagram. The way that I look at it is Instagram presents an easier opportunity to grow quickly, to grow something quickly. You can do that faster on Instagram, but YouTube, you build deeper connections, you can monetize, and when we talk about building that audience that can transcend platforms and you can take with you over time, YouTube is the place to do that. No question. YouTube is a better platform, but it's just harder to grow on. Your first question was the Reels update. Yeah, so we talked about that in the beginning. I think what you're referring to is kind of what Adam Mosseri said today, the head of Instagram, where he talked about. Tell me if I'm wrong here. Earlier today, Adam Mosseri came out and said, "Hey, we are going to keep pushing videos, but possibly push photos more as well, and that they're going to prioritize smaller creators more than the big creators." It looks like we got a couple more people in here, so I'm going to rehash what I was saying earlier, which is basically, I think the idea of prioritizing smaller creators more than the big creators can be good for our growth, but might actually hurt us in the long run, because I think it's the equivalent of a government saying, hey, we're going to tax the top 1% more. It's like, right, if you do that at a small degree, so if we move a little bit of the reach that the big pages are getting over to the small pages, you might be able to get away with it. Platform's fine. If we tax too much, or if we take too much reach away from those big pages, the big pages are the equivalent of the job creators or the top 1% in an economy. If you make it too tough for them to get reach, you make it too tough for them to make money in an economy, they leave that economy. They're going to leave this platform. They're going to leave Instagram and go elsewhere. They're going to go, I'm only getting 100,000 reach on Instagram now. You know what? I'm going to go over to TikTok. Let me run it up. And if you have all of the job creators or the top 1% of creators leave, a lot of people stay on Instagram or come to Instagram each day to see those top 1% of creators, right? Like, think about if all the Kardashians and all the Jenners left Instagram because their reach went too low, how big of a deal that could be to Instagram. You could possibly lose a lot of people that part of their daily time they log on Instagram is checking, okay, why can't I talk? What are the Kardashians doing? What are they posting about? What are the Jenners doing? And if you scare away that top 1%, you have a lot of people towards the bottom that'll leave. Have you ever thought about growing a Twitter rap account? No, not really. I don't know, just being honest, I don't know enough about Twitter to like give a full-fledged opinion. But what it seems like from the outside looking in is like Twitter's kind of a cesspool. Like, Twitter's not the future of free speech and open discussion and rapid growth and expansion. Not that Instagram's a huge place to rapidly grow in the future, but if you know growth hacks, you know you can grow quickly on Instagram. But what do you think, Rapline? Is Twitter a good place to grow? You tell me your thoughts. I'm curious. If you guys, I just want to say too, if you guys got any questions about your personal pages, your personal ventures, my opinions on anything, go ahead and drop it in the comments. My battery now is at 10%, so I'm gonna have to dip out in a minute. But I'm here to answer any questions we can get in right now. So let me hop in here. Russ said, I think you have to be constantly active on Twitter or you get banned. Really? Because Twitter might think you're a bot account. I could see that. Twitter's a little janky to me. Twitter is one of the smaller social, like, out of all the big social media giants, it's like probably got the smallest market cap. And when you have less money in a platform, you have more opportunities for drastic decision making, which can either be really good or really bad, right? So like the more money you have, the bigger money you have behind a platform, the more people you're beholden to before you make any decisions. And I feel like Twitter almost is not beholden to enough people before they make decisions. I don't want to get too political with it, but like there's a clear bias on Twitter for political speech. And I'm not saying that would exist with hip hop speech, but I guess you just never know, right? Like, free speech has to be as open as possible for it to really be free. And I know that it's not a free speech issue because Twitter's a private company, but looking at it as somebody that's creating content, right? Like, I'm going to be saying a lot of shit, particularly as a rap page. I say a lot of dumb shit, right? Part of it is just to be funny and to get reactions. And if it's easier to get, shadow banned on Twitter, like you said, I'm not saying active enough, so they start devaluing my content or banning me or whatever. That's not a good spot to be in. I'm not against Twitter by any means, but I don't want to ever make Twitter my main platform. Do you hear the new Beyonce album? I did not. I did not hear the new Beyonce album. I listened to a little bit of Wiz's album today, Wiz Khalifa. That was pretty good. What else have I been listening to? Yo, Mike, formerly Mike Stud. His new name is Mike with just a dot at the end. Dropped an album, I think last year, called The Highs. I've been listening to that a lot. Really good album. I also been listening to some Lil Baby's older stuff. That Perfect Timing mixtape. Oh my, that mixtape is fire. But yeah, man, I don't. What else you been listening to? Just Beyonce? I'm about to tap out, so if you guys got any more questions, hurry them, pop them up in chat. Give me a chance to help y'all out, or don't. Have you noticed that all the big rappers or singers have been putting out mid? Yes, 100%. I forget who said it. I heard somebody say. I think it was in an interview or something, that you don't even have to be a good rapper these days to make it. You just gotta be different. You just gotta sound different, look different, be something people haven't seen before, and you'll go viral. You'll make money. But it's not even about the quality of the music as much. And I actually feel like that's kind of almost true of social media as a whole. Is if you learn how to manipulate human behavior, and be shocking and get people to just watch you, even if it's just like disgust, like Andrew Tate. You can grow a lot faster than, like, if you're putting out the most helpful videos in the world like I'm doing. No, I'm just playing. I try to put out a lot of helpful videos, right? But I also know that trying to approach stuff humbly and with humility, and like just trying to be the best at your craft, and not necessarily coming out with antics and all this, colored hair or whatever, can slow your growth. I'm okay with that, but I think a lot of rappers are not. They just want money, but I think it's because they want money to get ready for the recession. Could be. Definitely, dude. My phone is really about to die. I'm going to hurry up and get out some recession thoughts. Any of you guys watching right now, there's only 3 of you in here, but there's going to be some more in the playback when this is published. Recessions are where fortunes are created and destroyed. Everything's going to be on sale. If this recession gets, any worse, even if what it's out right now, it stays here for a minute, you have so many opportunities to buy assets at great prices. I'm looking at Bitcoin right now. I don't have a lot of cash, but as soon as I get this next job and I've got a little bit more discretionary income, you best believe I'm buying some Bitcoin. I'm definitely going to be buying stocks. This is not financial advice. I need to clarify that. This is not financial advice. I'm just saying, look at Bitcoin, see if it's right for you. Look at different investments potentially in a recession. If you see some stuff for cheap, it might be a good time to buy. It might be, might not be. Again, not financial advice. But yeah, very excited for the opportunities in this recession. Not excited for all of the pain that's going to be caused and that's going to occur. This week, without getting too political, the administration basically took it upon themselves to redefine what recession means all of a sudden, as soon as we had the makings of a real recession. A recession has always been categorized as 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. We've had 2 consecutive quarters now, so of course the administration wants to hurry and redefine it last minute so that they can say, oh, but we're not in a recession yet. We're close, but we're not there, but we are. That's just my 2 cents. Homie said, I wouldn't invest in Bitcoin law. Hey, teach their own. I believe in Bitcoin as an asset class until quantum computing is figured out. Again, this is not investing advice. I'm just talking from my personal perspective. This is not financial advice. I also do believe in diversification, though, so I would never throw all my money into just Bitcoin, by example, like some people have done. There are stocks, individual companies that I'm interested in purchasing as well. Again, not financial advice. So, anyways, there's a spider on my light. Oh shit. My name is Mitchell. I love you guys. The economy won't grow this year until next year. I think it's going to be a depression. CBH could be, really could be a depression. I wouldn't be surprised, bro. I honestly agree with you. We're not looking great right now, but you should always be optimistic about the U.S. in the long term. We might lose in the short term, but we always come back around. So I love you guys. Keep your head up. Keep grinding. All you guys, any of you guys that are up late night with me like this, I know you guys are the real ones. You guys are the ones that are up late grinding, working hard. I love you guys truly for tapping in. So, hey, thank you, man. Tap in again. Next live, I'm going to try to start going live a little bit more late at night like this. I'm going to have a video coming out soon dissecting a reel that went viral. I love y'all. God bless you guys and have a good night, man. I'm peace out.